using a cell site simulator or fake cell phone tower, commonly known as a stingray. However, the policy has several exemptions, including cases that pose an imminent threat, cases involving a fugitive, or cases in which the technology is used in public places or where the FBI deems there is no reasonable expectation of privacy. Senators Grassley and Leahy question the scope of the exceptions in their letter. The FBI is not the only government agency using stingrays. The IRS, DEA, ICE, Secret Service, and local police departments have purchased the devices, leading some states and cities to ban their use without a warrant. After a new law in California allowed an estimated 1.5 million illegal immigrants to apply for driver's license effective January 1st, officials in Sacramento are now concerned these new drivers will be lacking auto insurance. This has led the state to open up the decade-old California Low-Cost Auto Insurance Program, or CLCA. This allows drivers to purchase insurance through the state. Auto insurance is required by California law for anyone who owns a vehicle. Advocates argue the plan will help reduce financial risk and insurance costs for all drivers. Critics say the CLCA program has not convinced uninsured drivers to obtain insurance and that the rate of uninsured motorists has held steady for the past 10 years. It is estimated approximately 4.1 million drivers in California do not have auto insurance. This is Amy Curtis with your Vigilant Liberty Radio News from Independent Journal Review for January 7th.
Here's just a sample of what you can expect when you listen to Amanda and the Edge of Anarchy Monday nights on Vigilant Liberty Radio.
So freedom and liberty can actually help the state. Take marijuana, for example. If we legalize it, we should force Congress to smoke it. I mean, can you imagine the outcome of that? Hey, Senator Reid, I got a great idea. Let's just not tax Taco Bell. Leave them alone. Maybe they'll, take a taco and put it in your burrito and...
That's the Edge of Anarchy with your host, Amanda, Monday nights at 9 on Vigilant Liberty Radio.
And we're back here on Liberty Unfiltered. I'm your host, Steve Long. And back with us is Craig, Joanna, and Lisa. We've been talking about the proposed Oklahoma hoodie ban, which is actually more than just hoodies. But that's what it's been commonly referred to. Now we're going to talk about a wonderful lawsuit that has been filed against the state of Colorado by Oklahoma's Republican Attorney General Scott Pruitt, who promises to fight against federal government and overreach of power while suing a state for legalizing marijuana. So here's our grand and glorious state, standing up for states' rights Attorney General, and then he turns around and says, effectively he's saying they don't have the right to legalize it because it's in violation of federal law. If that's not hypocritical, I don't know what is.
No. They like to use it when it's convenient.
All right.
There's really bad laws in the state of Oklahoma rights. Frankly, I would like to argue that a state knows, better how to run its laws and how to engage society. But Oklahoma has had so many laws where, whether we're talking about the discriminatory law on Muslims being able to write contracts. You think about the various kinds of laws where the feds have bailed us out. Marriage equality, it's like, you thank God for courts.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, it's sad that we have a state that is, quote unquote, the reddest state in the nation, and yet we can't, we keep getting trampled on by the federal government because of the things our legislators are doing.
Well, and I don't know if you've seen the names of the various legislators who have written a letter asking Pruitt to cancel or to pull off his joining a lawsuit against the state of Colorado. But, some of these guys are pretty nefarious people. Obviously, the only reason they're being intellectually honest, I might add, though. They're basically saying that, hey, we think our state ought to be able to do what we want to do, and here you are arguing that Colorado can't do what they want to do, so you're messing this up. But the list of names of those guys are not kind of a who's who of crazy. John Bennett's on there.
Mike Ritz.
Oh yeah.
Who?
Mike Ritz.
Who? Okay, Mike Ritz, right? Who I guess thinks marijuana is the demon weed.
What about Jolly?
Like I said, I don't have all the names in front of me, but when I just took a quick look at the list, I was going, oh, great, John Bennett. Ooh, yeah, he's on my side. That's great. Not so much. I'd prefer somebody else argue in the direction that we're arguing other than someone like John Bennett.
Yeah, well, Nathan Dahm is on there, and he's a good one. It's Lewis Moore, John Bennett, Mike Christian, Dan Fisher, Ralph Shorty, and Nathan Dahm.
Dan Fisher, there's another one. Yeah. Well, at least they're being intellectually honest, and they're saying they want to be able to have a 10th Amendment where they get to do what they want to do. It's kind of the central premise, by the way, of rejecting Obamacare is the idea the state should be able to do it once, and then you have Pruitt mucking up the works.
Yeah, I mean, he's just another one of our elected officials here that's making us look backwards. You either want state rights or you don't. You can't have it both ways.
Well, what I'd really like to know, he formed a committee, right, to list all of the federal abuses where they're encroaching on states' rights and all that stuff. I'd like to know what that little committee he had in his department had to say about this. It makes you wonder, did he just pass it by him a little bit and say, hey, we're going to join the Nebraska lawsuit against Colorado because they're selling weed and we don't like it?
Well, maybe that's something we should ask them tomorrow. Those of you that don't know, there is a rally/protest, whatever you want to call it, taking place tomorrow at the Attorney General's office, and it starts at 1 p.m. For those that don't know, the address is 313 Northeast 21st Street. So this is basically just an idea to get the people together and make their voices heard that they're not pleased with Attorney General Pruitt's actions in suing Colorado. It's a flagrant waste of our money and an obvious violation of states' rights, a cause which he so-called champions. But apparently not so much.
You can't look anybody in the face with a straight face on that. My question would be, really, why is he doing this? Since it's so obviously flying in the face of a lot of the base arguments he's made in other cases about the state of Oklahoma has rights and the federal government can't tell the state what it's supposed to do in these regards. How in the world can that same guy come out and make this argument?
Well, what
I
do you
don't know.
think he has
The
to
same
gain by
reason
it?
a Republican senator can issue a banning hoodies and masks. I don't.
Hey, do any of you guys, do y'all watch any mainstream media? I don't. I just wonder if he's gotten any press, any positive national press off of this.
Positive press? I don't think so.
National,
I
like national
I don't
positive
think
press?
it's been.
I mean,
I don't
like
think
career
it's been
press?
national.
Okay.
I mean, the only place that would really give him that kind of cover, I would think, would be Fox. Not that I'm a big Fox viewer, because I'm not. But when you poll this subject about marijuana, it's a majority question, and of course, as we continue through time, it was going to continue more. Heck, even in our state, we're talking about creating medical marijuana exemption this year for, I can't remember the particulars of that particular application of it, if it was the oils or whatnot. But for us to do that is a pretty big step because, we've not even been willing to acknowledge that in the past. But, what does he have to gain? That's my question. Who benefits from this? Because it's certainly not, it's not the people of Oklahoma that are going to benefit from this because it's going to fail.
Yeah.
And even if
And
it
who pays
succeeded,
for this? I'm sorry.
Well, yeah,
who pays for we are the taxpayers.
I just feel like it's a publicity stunt, a taxpayer-funded publicity stunt. It shouldn't get. I mean, anything can happen. We all know that, but it should fail.
Yeah.
It should be thrown out. The court shouldn't hear it. But how much money is being wasted on this? And I believe that that these two attorneys general are making a name for themselves among people who believe like them. It's not the right thing to do, but there are people out there who believe this stuff. And
yeah,
well, they're both
a very good
Republicans.
point there. I think he's gunning for his next elected office.
that's what I'm thinking. And we're paying for it.
I mean, I don't know what he's going to run for. What I've heard is that he wants to run for governor. I've also heard he wants to run for Senate whenever Inhofe steps down. I can't fathom this helping him, but hey, maybe in this state where you've got a lot of people that agree, they like what they like and they don't like what they don't like, and if it violates the principle of it by doing that, it's not a big deal. Okay, maybe that's the angle he's going for. He just wants to be able to say he tried to fight marijuana in Colorado.
Yeah.
It leads me to wonder whether or not the people who are running the state of Oklahoma, if any of them, there's got to be at least a handful, but if any of them actually do have any principles. Because it doesn't really seem that way. There might be a few.
But this needs to be a case that even if you win, you lose on everything else you're trying to do.
Yeah.
I mean, whatever arguments he uses on behalf of this, I would think, could apply to Obamacare, could apply to national gun laws, could apply to expansion of Medicare, could apply to anything.
Yeah.
I do love the example of the gun laws because I guess we're adjacent to states that have different gun laws. Imagine if this was successful. Imagine those laws being used against Oklahomans, and our
Right. It becomes a 10th Amendment nightmare.
Mm-hmm.
It's beyond comprehension to me. But I'm sure he has, and I'm sure it is that he thinks that he gained some political points here. But at this point, he's got people in his own party that are shooting at him in his ideological darts. I'm not sure what he gets ultimately, but I would like to be a fly on the wall to know why that lawsuit was joined.
Yeah.
It makes absolutely no sense to me.
When will we know whether or not it's going to be heard?
Just wondering how long it will be drawn out, or it could be drawn out.